Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Okay, so we're back to do another reaction, and for today's reaction, Andy and Kirk have no idea what's coming, but I'm gonna just give you a little hint, just so you know what's coming. This is the best new metal song that came out of that era.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get the screen share. Let's go check it out.
Just the other side, oh yeah, intact, complete serenity. Taking intravenously, transgressing euphoric bliss divine. Initiate a timeless state of mind. Blood will sterilize. And fire baptize. All passes through my soul. You now feel greater misery. Master of my enemy. Let the purest state of mind wipe the virtue from your eyes.
Okay, so there we have I was a bit tongue-in-cheek there, the best new metal song, but that was Slayer and State of Mind off the album, was it Diabolus in Musica, which basically was the criticism that was rained at Slayer for that particular album, was that they had basically gone new metal on it, and Slayer fans were not happy. Now, I actually really liked the album as a whole, but I can understand what people were saying about it, and actually, to be honest with if Slayer did new metal, I'd still like it. I think it was great. I love Tom Aria's vocals, but from probably people that when this came out, I'd be interested to know what you guys thought about this particular album. If you heard it when it came out, what do you think about it now, looking back on it? Kick it over to Andy to kick this one off.
Okay. That is probably the most recent Slayer song I've heard. Now, when did that come out?
1998, was it?
Yeah, I've never heard anything since then.
So you're a die-hard fan then?
No. Well, I was. You know, Hell Awaits was absolutely life-changing album to me. You know, the ferocity, the satanic imagery and lyrical content. I was absolutely blown away. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. I then went and got Show No Mercy and the Haunting the Chapel EP. I'm not of the opinion that Raining Blood's the best thrash metal album of all time. It's all right. It's a fast, furious Slayer album, not as good as Hell Awaits. I think South of Heaven followed that, and didn't really like that either, to be honest. And I've never heard that song before.
Okay.
And I understand the new metal reference now. I thought it was maybe cover at first. Then I do recognise the name of the song.
Yeah.
And then it's news to me that was the theme of that particular album, or the style of that particular album. I hope they didn't stick with that. But early Slayer, yeah, all day long. But anything after Raining Blood, not something I've had the inclination to listen to. You know, probably because I knew they kind of like mellowed in their old age. I mean, Tom Araya's vocals are great, unmistakable, but I'm not a modern Slayer fan.
What did you dislike about that song then, Andy?
That particular one, it was too new metal, and that's not my bag either. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but it's not something I'd sort of go out of my way to listen to, you know. And I've kind of sort of disappointed in Slayer's sort of, you know, maybe get slated in the comments for this. You know, there's sort of downward decline of sort of intensity from the very early days. So they were trendsetters. You know, Kerrang hated them, for example. You know, they said they're absolutely shit, along with Bathory. And look at, you know, they're influential on today's music and today's bands. But, you know, whether it is big label influence or, you know, chasing the money, I don't know. But they just didn't. They've done nothing to make me want to sort of listen to anything after that period that I've already explained. You know, again, maybe like a lot of things, I'm not giving them a chance. You know, maybe if I actually took the time to listen to an album that you suggest would be a high point in the career, then maybe my opinions will change. But I haven't done, so I can't really say, other than I loved early Slayer. They're, you know, big influence on my choice of music back in the day when I was young, and Hell Awaits is still one of my favourite albums.
I mean, for me, when I think about Slayer over the last, well, before they retired, but basically up until they're retiring for 20 odd years, it was a greatest hits live show is what I always saw of Slayer. They were always on the big festivals. They were always pretty much main stage, middle of the card somewhere, and you always knew what you were going to get. You were going to get Chemical Warfare. You were going to get Antichrist. You were going to get all of the big hits. But you weren't going to get anything off of any more recent albums or anything. So they released an album, but that was just to give them an excuse to really go off and do touring. And actually, it's an interesting topic to bring up about Slayer, is the fact that obviously they then retired. And they're one of the only bands that I can think of that actually decided that they've done enough. They don't need to be doing it anymore. I know Kerry King has got a big bug about this because he didn't want to retire. But Tom was like...
I didn't know this, Dave. I just thought it was one of the bands that's still about on the festival circuit, releasing albums. I don't even follow them. So
about 5 years ago, I'm guessing something around that era.
They officially call themselves a legacy band to concentrate on merchandise sales and promoting their back catalogue. Yeah, they're finished.
But Tom Araya hated touring. He got to the point where he just didn't want to be on the road. He was old. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he basically made the decision to retire. And so obviously that put the band in hiatus. Now, Kerry King talks about the Diabolus in Musica album because he wasn't involved in the writing. So he didn't have an input on writing on this album, and he hates it because he was like, if he had been involved in the writing, I don't know what the issue was about why he wasn't involved, but it was, I think they had this thing, I could be completely wrong on this, but it was something if I vaguely remember reading that they took it in turns writing. So Kerry King would write almost like a whole album's worth, and then that would be the next album, and on the next album it would be a Jeff album. And Jeff would be involved, and he would write most of the songs on the album, and so they would take it in turns, and that's why you sometimes get this weird change in vibe on the tracks. And I think this was the album where Jeff basically wrote the album, and that's why when Kerry came in, he was like, what the hell? And of course, new metal was big at the time when this was coming out. So when this came out in the mid-90s and new metal, they can basically taken all the influence of what trended and tried to make it into Slayer. And that
to me is not an approach for being a band.
No, there is some brutally heavy tracks on Diabolus in Musica. There is some real heavy stuff in there. But unfortunately, their lead single was a trendy new metal one. I mean, let's round it up with you, Kurt. What did you think on it?
Yeah, I'm just going to challenge what you said there, Dave. So new metal was still an underground phenomenon that was breaking into the mainstream in the mid-90s. You know, Korn, Deftones, Cold Chamber. Korn had a platinum record, but the other bands hadn't. But they were starting to get MTV airplay, weren't they?
Yeah.
So when this came out, around 98, new metal still didn't have supremacy in heavy music. Certainly, if you're a Kerrang reader or a Metal Hammer, you still did get other genres reviewed in there. Often it was shit like
you did, but at that point, 98 was new metal. New metal was the number one metal genre at that point.
Yeah, I think that's when it starts to achieve its ascendance.
It was pre 96, yeah. But from 96 onwards, you've got debut Slipknot album, stuff like that coming out around then.
Slipknot's 99, isn't it? But
is
it that Limp Bizkit one's 98 or 97, isn't it?
Something like that. I know it's mid 90s, but anyway. Okay.
So now that song has not aged well, hasn't it? Before you played the video, we didn't know what you were going to show us. I said, "Oh God, I hope this isn't Cold Chamber," and that is the Rectum logo. I fucking hate that band. They are useless. Cold Chamber for me. I like Devil Driver, but Cold Chamber are one of the worst bands to be associated with the metal genre, in my opinion. And Slayer, just listen to that riff. Dun, 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 dun. Awful song, really poor. Can you imagine sandwiching that in a live set in between Hell Awaits and Ditto Head? Let's not forget, it's only 4 years before when they were writing songs like Killing Fields, which is an absolute fucking pounding thrash song from that 1994 album, Divine Intervention, which is excellent. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Andy. Hell Awaits is the best Slayer album. It's not Rain in Blood. That's just 27 minutes, fast thrash album, some unbelievable songs on there, but Hell Awaits is the best one, in my opinion. I even prefer South of Heaven to Rain in Blood, and I'm not saying that just to be controversial, but I think that's an excellent record. Kerry King hates this record. One last thing though, at the time, Kerrang give this, I think, 4 out of 5. Metal Hammer give it a good review. Even Terrorizer had this in the top 10 albums of the year. So they weren't actually instantly being criticized for being new metal or a sellout. Because new metal had not achieved saturation point, I think they were actually getting praise for at least listening to contemporary music and incorporating some of that and paying attention. It's only now, in 2023, we look back and that is a spectacular own goal, isn't it?
Well, I think it's one of those ones where you can get critical acclaim, but you get the fan base just scorned it. In comparison, the fan base, because that's the problem, is you can get critical acclaim, but if the fans don't like it, it makes no difference. And we see that with other things like films and games and stuff like that. The two bases don't always match up. But
the fan base, most Slayer fans, myself included, detest this period. Certainly that song. You're right. There's actually some good tunes though on there. Tune describing a Slayer song. There's some good tracks on that album. It's not as poor as people think, but it's because that's the lead single. It's the one that stays in everyone's mind. It got the MTV airplay. Kerry King's ashamed of it, isn't he? He doesn't even like that album. Tom Araya's voice is excellent. The underused, is it Paul Bostaff who's on drums? He is phenomenal on the predecessor album. Yeah. And on here, they're actually asking him to, again, play some almost like disco beats in there, aren't they? Which is just, this is Slayer, for God's sake, who wrote Haunt in the Chapel. And, you know, they write songs like Angel of Death, you know, and then put it next to that, you'd think it was a different band, wouldn't you? So, sorry for being predictable in my response to this. It's not aged well. Let's just forget this even happened, in my opinion.
Okay, what, the whole reaction? Just give it up.
No, this song and this band's career.
Fair enough. Well, there we go. That was Slayer and Stain of Mind. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.